Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the Salescast Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we are on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Darrell Amy.
I'm thrilled to personally invite you to join me on the incredible journey with the release of the audiobook version of Selling in a Post-Trust World. In this new audiobook, I'll guide you through the game-changing principles of authentic relationships, meaningful value, and how to leave behind the empty suit mentality forever. You'll hear it all straight from me because I narrate the entire audiobook myself. As we dive into inspiring stories and practical advice, you'll discover how to bring heart and sincerity into your sales approach, connect on a deeper level with your clients, and ultimately thrive in today's skeptical world. Whether you're driving, working out, or relaxing, let's spend some time together exploring the soft skills that will yield you hard dollars. Don't just read the book, let me share it with you. Download the audiobook today on Audible and other major platforms.
Hello and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
Hey, Darrell, great seeing you. We got all kinds of fantastic things happening here at Selling from the Heart. I'm stoked for our guest today because this person I know wears his heart on his sleeve. We cannot wait to dive into a great conversation.
Just wait. Leaders are going to look within today with our friend Brent Pohlman. What a great conversation we've got teed up. And one of the fun things at Selling from the Heart is we always have fun conversations teed up with friends, clients, sales professionals, CEOs, people that believe in selling from the heart, leading from the heart. It's such an amazing community that's risen up around this movement.
Absolutely. I have to give a special shout out. Darrell, you know this guy. You know him really well. Chris Dunn. I know Chris Dunn listens to the podcast every week when he's out for his walks. Chris, you're a Selling from the Heart champion. I just wanted to say I'm super grateful you're in our community.
Here, Chris, hats off, man, through and through. Agree 100%. Well, we've got an exciting conversation today with Brent Pohlman. He is the author of Leaders Look Within. Own your heart to live a life of gratitude. He's also CEO of Midwest Laboratories. Brent's book offers a unique perspective on leadership, emphasizing the importance of self-reflection and personal growth in creating successful strategies for sales and for life. Leaders Look Within is particularly relevant for salespeople and their leaders as it advocates for an introspective approach to leadership that directly impacts effectiveness. Brent believes that understanding one's own motivations and cultivating gratitude can enhance relationship building and trust with prospects, clients, and coworkers, all key components in success. Brent, it's great to have you here on the Selling from the Heart show. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Darrell and Larry. It's great to be here. I'm excited about this.
Oh, this is long time in the making. We're glad you're here, Brent.
No, good to be here. Good to be here.
Well, as a true kindred spirit of Selling from the Heart, I can't wait to hear your answer to the question we ask every guest on the podcast. And that is, Brent, what does it mean to you to sell from the heart?
You know, to sell from the heart, I think you really need to know what's in it. What is in your heart? And I think for me, that really means leading with values. And there's such an application here to sales because if you don't know what's in your heart, which I didn't, and that's really the purpose for the book, and sometimes it's buried for whatever reason, but I would just say that, again, selling from the heart means knowing who you are. What do you stand for? What's your why? What drives you? What gets you up every single day? You have to know that. Because if you don't know that, how can you absolutely sell or lead others? So that's really what I wake up every single day. My how and my why is I'm a person of faith who coaches people up and leads from the heart. And I have to say that every single day. And that's what gets me going.
Oh, Brent, I am so glad that you said this. And I applaud you for it because The way I start my morning is very similar to yours, and it's just transformed my whole outlook on life. But I'm glad you said, in order to sell from the heart, you got to understand what's in your heart. So, just for a moment, then we're going to have a great conversation. Can you speak to those individuals who might be searching, going, hey, I buy into this selling from the heart, but now I just heard Brent and go, you know what? I got to unpack what's in my heart. Where can somebody start who wants to go down this journey?
I think we all think that we know we did. I thought I had a strong why, but when anyone would ask me that, it would always change. It would always be something a little bit different. And then when I thought I had strong values, it would be tested by something from my past. Or maybe somebody, I worked with my dad for 5 years, and I was always tested by I thought he was a great leader. And so always had to have that, do I lead like my dad? Or do I lead from my heart, from myself? And what is it that, again, that is going to really take it to the next level? And I think that's where you have to unpack. You mentioned the word unpack. I had to unpack, categorize things, because I had buried my values so deep. I didn't even realize that. Someone would ask me something and I was highly reactive. I would think of the first thing off the top of my head, and I hadn't really given it any thought until I really understood what was inside of me. Why did I want this? Why did where was I going? What's the vision? Because I don't know about you, but I grew up in a operational environment. I mean, everything was super reactive. You focused on the here and now. I didn't do a lot of strategic, maybe once in a while. But then when you're asked to do that part, that's a whole different thinking, because you got to set the vision. And if anybody asks me where are we going, I better have an answer to that, because I didn't in the beginning. I didn't know where we were going, and that's the worst answer that you could give.
Yeah, and I think the parallels to sales are really strong here, because so many of us, sales, like any aspect of the business world, I think salespeople and their leaders are the corporate athletes of the business world. We're in an operational cadence. There's results that have to happen. There's activity that needs to happen. There's deadlines. There's quotas. There's all of these things that need to happen. And I think you're absolutely right. We get lulled into this operational mindset, but sometimes we got to hit the pause button. And this is why I'm so excited to talk with you about your thoughts, your heart behind this book, Leaders Look Within. How did you make that shift from being, in the rush of running a company and all the things that are involved with that? How did you hit the pause button and begin this journey of actually looking within?
Yeah, I think for me, it's about trust. I had to have trust with my people around me, and I really wanted to work with people and sell to people that I could trust. When you sell something and they promise they're going to buy, or you're going to have set up this agreement together, you really wanted to make it work for both of you. It's a relationship. So any good relationship is going to have trust. And so what I found, and I'm still learning, I don't know about you guys, every day I learn something new. So
Here.
This year, I really tried. I told my team, we were at a show, and I said, hey, I want you guys to try this. I'm going to tell you, I'm doing it myself, but I'm going to lead with values. So we go to the show with all of our clients there. And I said, I just want to listen to these guys and see what's on their heart and mind, and just see what are their pain points. And it was just interesting to me that out of this one company, I'll never forget, there were about 15 people from this other company, one of our big clients. And I was talking to a guy, and he was like getting all upset, and he had all this pain. And I talked to my team. I said, are you feeling this pain? And he said, no. And I kept listening more and more. And I said, everything's great on our side. I said, okay, where's this? And then I said, I wonder where this pain's coming from. So I visited with him again. And what I found was he was internalizing a lot of stuff, not only in his personal life, but even in the company. And it was just him. And I think we're seeing a lot of that pain. And I just kept listening to him. And I wasn't trying to solve anything. And I wasn't really trying to wonder where the relationship was going. It was absolutely just this guy was going through a lot of pain. And I think a lot of times we don't even realize that. But when we tell that to our team, then they can turn on the awareness too and listen to that. And they were coming back to me and saying, yeah, we hear a little bit here and there. And it just helps build the relationship. Because a lot of things, when you hear something from a really good client that's a little bit off, you always wonder where that's coming from. So leading with values, I've just learned is really huge, and you can continue to build that trusted relationship.
Hey Brent, I'm glad that you said leading with values, and I think you'll be open with this. If when I
Yeah.
ask, is would you mind sharing? And I'd just be curious. When you say lead with values, what would be some of your values? If you could share that with our audience, what's Brent's values and the values of your company? I'd just be curious.
So, I mean, we always want to do the right thing. Some of our core values: you do the right thing, people first. And what it's really shown me is when I'm around other people, even including my own employees, I have to bring my A game. Again, I'm just, my A game means that my awareness is there. I'm listening to what's happening, because I think there is a lot of, over the last 4 years, I've just seen a lot of people in pain with everything we've been through in the last 4 years. And when we just take a second to just listen for a moment and just understand what these people are going through, it's amazing. The other thing I will say that's been really key, and it's really simple, is if we call each other by our names. If you personalize the conversation and always refer to the person's name, it's amazing. We all want to hear our name be called. And I especially found that out in the last couple of years more and more, that if we hear our name, we're going to stop. And it actually really is a way of personalizing the conversation. We want to listen. We want to learn more. And I think that's where it just really starts, is just understanding the person and where they're at today. And then we can go from there and talk about the business. We can talk about, but really just taking that time to really understand them. So people first is probably the big mantra, or the one thing I would take away from our values, is just be there in present with the people that you're with.
I like that definition of the A game, awareness, the awareness game. We talk so much about bringing your A game to situations. And I think using that letter A for awareness is really, really important, because we can say people first all day long, and we can say selling from the heart. We can say building a culture from the heart. But these, when it comes down to actually where this happens and where the proverbial rubber meets the road, it's in leading with people first and being aware of that other person, seeking first to understand before we're understood, and paying attention. Maybe that's the other A word, is paying attention. And I think to draw this back to the level of the heart, and to just think about looking within. We're huge advocates at Selling from the Heart on doing this inner work and the journey within. Would you be kind enough to coach us on, how do you begin that journey? What does that look like in your life, and the people that you've experienced this inner work?
Right. Well, there's a lot to that. I mean, that's we could probably go on and on. I just really think you got to start someplace. I really do think working with a coach is excellent. If you can work with somebody, again, to pull your values out, understand who you are, and then understand, your strengths, your weaknesses. One of my best examples of, I had a lot of negative self-talk. Now, I'm sure you guys have never experienced that, but
come on now, right? You're talking to the king, Brent.
So, my negative self-talk was so bad a few years ago that I needed to do something, because I was super reactive. So when you're reactive and then you don't have trust in yourself, my negative self-talk was so bad. So I actually worked with a coach where I had to wear a rubber band around my wrist, and every negative thought, I had to snap myself and write it down. The first day I had 35 times. I'll never forget. 35 times I had to snap myself and write down the reason why I had that negative self thought. And it took me a month. I got down to 30 days and I was down to 0. And then I was told I could never have another negative self discussion. Once in a while, obviously you have one here or there, but I had nothing like 35 in the first day. So things like that, even simple activities like that, if you take the time to really discover who you are, you really can make a difference in yourself.
I love that. I mean, 35 times, Brent, I'm going to tell you something. I'd still be snapping on my wrist right now. Let me tell you.
Your hand might fall off.
Exactly. Exactly. But you know what's interesting about this, what's floating through my head is the stories in our mind become stories of our lives.
Yes.
And it's what stories are we telling ourselves? And it's so interesting because it took me until my 50s to figure out what going inward meant. And when I started, I call it opening up the cupboard. When I opened up the cupboard of who I was, and I was really open with this, I was amazed how I started to look at myself and how my business started to take off. And I think the same thing could probably be said for you, I'd imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's amazing. The change in attitude and direction from 5 years ago, we had just some numbers. I mean, we had 110 employees 5 years ago, and our revenue was we'd have as many clients coming into the business as that were leaving, and we made a huge number of changes. But again, it took a trusting leadership team that really, and a lot of things went into that. But today we have over 300 employees, and we're growing at double-digit rate. And I attribute that to the culture that we've built over the last 5 years. Your culture is everything. And I'll give you 3 words that really were the difference for me were people, process, and technology, always in that order. People first, get your processes, standardized processes across the board, and technology last. I always led with technology, or I always wanted to change something right away. Get the people first, put them in the right position, give them the coaching they need, and you will go farther. I still believe you'll go further and faster with people than any process or technology.
I got to share something, and this is a shout out. I have to give somebody a shout out because I just reminded me of something. Dan Carroll, he's just waves the flag, is a client of ours, and he always says this: if the answer to your question is not people, then right, and then he just goes, everything revolves around your people. If the answer is not this is about your people, then you got to do something about it.
Exactly.
I think what you just said is so relevant to our sales leaders listening in. People, process, technology. And I may or may not have, I'm sure I was never guilty of putting technology.
No, never,
first.
never.
I would never have done that before. But we've all seen colossal failures of technology backfiring. And of course, Larry and I came from a world that sold technology and sold that dream of all of it. But before that is process, and before that is people. And I think that's such an amazing thing. I'm curious for the leaders that are listening in and the aspiring leaders as well. How do you encourage your people to go on this journey of inner discovery, of looking within? What are some things you've learned along the way about encouraging people on your team to take this deep dive journey?
I think in our culture, it's really about coaching. I just really, if you're going to be a great leader or manager, you got to have some coaching aspects. And the best leaders are the ones that can coach. My chief strategy officer, I was just amazed when she came on, but she was a former entrepreneur. Dana Berkey is her name. She is a phenomenal coach. She will invest the time in people because she knows if we're putting changes in place, you have to reinforce that all the time. You can't just tell somebody once, you got to come back again. And we do a lot of one-on-ones, and we spend a lot of time with our people. And obviously they're going to make mistakes. And the easiest thing is to go back to something that they're comfortable with. But if you want true change, you got to really reinforce that over and over. And I really find the value in coaching. So much so that even when I'm watching sporting events, I will watch the sidelines. I will watch the coaches.
Yeah.
A story in the book was I told my wife, of course, I never played football, never coached football, but I heard about this guy, Dick Vermeil, and I knew that he connected with his players. And I told my wife, I said, I'm pretending to be a football coach today. I'm driving down to Arrowhead, which is 2 hours away. This was in 2007. I said, I just want to be in the room with this guy because I hear he connects with his players.
Yeah.
So I went there for a whole day. I learned so much football, but I was in the corner. I didn't want anybody to talk football to me. I just really connected with this guy because I could see in 1 hour. He gave us 1 hour of his time, and he had me in tears. Like he said, you know how he cries?
Yeah,
And
of
if players
course.
cry, I would do anything for him. And it's just amazing. And then about 3 months ago, when the book came out, I saw him at a conference, and I made sure that I went to this conference, and it was in the morning, right before his keynote. And I gave him a copy of the book, and I said, I wrote about you in the book. And it was just, he just looked at me, and I don't know, he's like 86, but he was like, I got to take this to my room. I'm going to read this tonight. And I wanted to be the quiet person in the room. He gets up to his keynote and he goes, and there's some person here who wrote a book about me. That is just amazing. That's all about gratitude and what we talk about. So I had to stand up in front of this group of 400 people. I'm just nobody. And again, I think it's all about the coaching and what we do with that. And he is a phenomenal coach who connects with players, and it's all about giving gratitude. And that was his whole point there. And so he doesn't know me from anybody else, but the fact, even that, just that little bit, I mean, I'll never forget that moment. That was just crazy. And he thought it was me. I didn't know what he thought of me trying to be fake, just to go see him and not be a football coach, but I think he got it. He values relationships, and that's what it's all about. So I think that's really the essence there.
I'm glad you brought up connection inside coaching, because that's really what it leads to. So here's a question: is when you start thinking about connection, Brent, in looking at this through a leader's eyes and how you're coaching, what are you looking for, or what are you looking towards when you're connecting with somebody?
I really do think it's about what's in your heart.
Okay.
I ask the strangest, oddballest questions when I do when I interview someone, because I really want to get past. I don't want them to think operationally. I don't want them to think about sales. What do you value most? What's the most important to you? And where do you come from a place of? And if you can tell a lot by a person's values, and I think that's the key. Because if you have that, I think you can build on anything if they have really strong core values. Now, some are hurt. I mean, everyone comes from a different place. But if you have a solid framework, or you're willing to learn and grow in that, I think you can do anything. I really do think the sky's the limit for those type of people.
Why, that's so strong. You talk in the title of the book, and this is a huge part of your message, is the G word, the gratitude word. And you were talking about Coach Vermeil on that as well. As we're thinking about leading from within, where do you see, I know you say the gratitude plays a massive role. How does that look in the day of the life of Brent? What's gratitude look like for you?
Yeah, it's really when I wake up, I always thank God for where I'm at today, all the blessings I've been given, and where am I going tomorrow. And I think a good example of this is, and it'll help you through the tough times and the good times, all those times. But the beginning of this year, January 3rd, I thought I could play basketball on our company's basketball team. Now I'm 59. I really thought I could do that. And I'm running down the court, and I turn my right ankle. I go down hard. I don't think anything of it. Next day I wake up. I didn't realize that I fractured my lateral tibia in my knee. And so what am I going to do now? And now I'm out for 8 weeks. My poor wife I'm at home with my wife now for 8 weeks. But again, it was that resilience. I told the doctor, I can't sit still. I got to do something. So I discovered this whole new world of chair workouts, because I couldn't use my knee. I had to keep it straight. And I'm watching YouTube videos, and I'm getting my upper body strong. And I think for me, it was that resilience that it doesn't matter what we face. We have all kinds of options, and we should be thankful for what we have. And today, that's all I do. Every morning now, I look at a different video. I'm working more. I'm getting stronger versus running all the time. I was just running or just doing weights, but now there's a whole new world that I didn't even realize of mobility and strength and breathing and all these different things. But it took breaking my knee to discover that.
I'm a big fan, Brent, of the first hour. The first hour of the morning, I guard, I capture it, I cherish it, because I think the first hour of the morning sets up what happens throughout the whole day. So if you'd be kind enough, what's the first hour of Brent's morning look like?
Yeah, the first hour, I mean, I'll say a few prayers and then I have to do some activity. I want to get the blood going. And then from there, as I'm getting ready, prepared, I'll say a few more prayers. Then I get to the office or I'll sit down at my desk and I just start writing down a few things, the goals. I think about the wins, where the opportunities that are going. And I will see it. And I think, and what am I most thankful for? And I think when you really start from a place of gratitude, again, you've started at a good place every single day. And I do that as part of my routine. I have to have a routine. When that routine, and then when that gets modified, I'm a little bit off. I admit that I would be a little bit off for the day, but I really try to do that daily.
Hey, high five you on that one.
That's right.
I'm all about rhythms and routines. And if it just throws me off a smidgen, I freak out. All of a sudden, I was like, what is happening?
I love this. And as we're wrapping up this conversation, I want to just go back to the beginning and thinking about the heart. Why you write in your book, and I love, your message around CEO of your heart. What does it mean to be the CEO of your heart? What does that look like? Unpack that for us, because I'm fascinated about CEO of your heart. But by the way, we'll put this in the show notes. You can go to ceoofyourheart.com and get just spoiler alert, because I'm sure you're going to say that at the end. But CEO of your heart, help me out with that one.
You have to own yourself first and know yourself first if you're going to lead others. If you don't have that, which I didn't for many years, how can you expect others? How can you do that effectively? You can't. I don't think you can. I really. You have to start with yourself, and it really does start in your heart. So I think everything starts in your heart, and that's really the key.
Yeah, I've always said this, Brent. If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others. You just can't do it.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
It is.
So good. Well, Brent, as we wrap up, what's one final word of encouragement you'd leave with our friends here today who are just going, man, I really want to take a deeper dive inside, and I really do want to live as the CEO of my heart?
One thing that somebody taught me that has paid dividends is, if you ever get stuck or uncomfortable, write that thing down. Just take the power of it, write it down, and then decide for yourself, am I going to spend any more time on this? Do I need to pray about this, think about this overnight? And I will guarantee you that those things, once you write it down, you've taken the power out of it. And believe it or not, I would say 9 times out of 10, those things that you write down, if you track it, are going to be wins down the road for you. That would be my best advice.
What a great conversation, Larry.
No, it is. And this is a great way to end, because you said track your wins. It's so interesting. And I know this is part of our routine as well, and I know it's part of yours, is just wrapping up your day with, what is it that I learned and what was a really good win? We all have them. We all have them throughout the day. And then at the end of the month, you could just sit back and reflect and go, wow, this is everything that I accomplished, and these are all the wins. It's good stuff.
I love it. Well, one thing I'm grateful for is that we got to meet Brent Pohlman and introduce you to our friends. So I know the question that everyone is asking right now, and that is, how do we get more Brent Pohlman in my life?
Well, I would say, obviously, I have a book out there. If you go onto Amazon, search my name, there's not too many Brent Pohlmans out there. You'll find the book. And LinkedIn is probably the best way to get a hold of me. I post. I do a reflection every single day, many days as I can, on something scripturally, and it just gets my heart going, gets my faith going, and because it's all about faith for me. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I think there's so many opportunities, and that's the best way to start.
I love it. Well, Brent, you are a true Selling from the Heart champion. We so appreciate you sharing your time, your ideas, and most of all, your heart with us today. This has been really, really awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Larry, Darrell, it's been great.
That's our pleasure.
Awesome. Wow, what an unbelievably cool conversation. And I love the title of the book, Leaders Look Within. And we've said this at Selling from the Heart from the beginning. Sales professionals are leaders. Leaders affect change. Leaders lead people. Salespeople affect change. Salespeople influence people. So this leaders lead from within. This is such a powerful concept and right in line with so many things we've been talking about over the years.
No, absolutely. I've always said this, Darrell, is to know thyself is to value thyself. And you have to unpack who you are. I love what Brent said in the very beginning. In order to sell from the heart, you have to know what's in your heart. I'm going to encourage everybody. I think today, more than ever, this is where you really need to understand what is inside my heart. It's the hardest work you'll do. It's the most rewarding work that will happen.
Hard work is hard work, and it pays off big time. And looking within and understanding what makes you tick, what are your values? These are the things that are going to make a massive difference. Speaking of difference makers, I'm so thankful for the community of people in Selling from the Heart around the world who are leading with heart, selling with heart. We're making a difference. And I'm just so grateful for our friends. Thank you, especially to everybody who's helping spread the word about this movement of authenticity and trust right here in the sales profession we all love. You can do that by sharing this episode on LinkedIn or any of your favorite social channels. And to those of you who have left us a review on YouTube or on the platform on which you listen, thank you. We really appreciate you.
And same here. And none of this happens without this community. So thank you. We're grateful to you. Look forward to bringing great guests on throughout this year. We promise you, we will bring guests that will get you to think, that will bring some new insights all around how to sell from the heart.
Awesome. So make sure to like or subscribe. And until next time, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep building trust. Look within, and most of all,
Sell from the heart.